Imagine if you went from feeling fine every day to feeling amazing. How would your life be different? Everyone has the ability to feel amazing again and again. You just need the right tools to get there. If you're ready to feel amazing, stick around. Now, here's the host of the I'm Not Fine show with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens.
Welcome back, everyone, to another phenomenal episode here. I hope you guys are excited for this one because I know I am. This week, I decided to take it to the audience again and ask you guys very specific questions on what you want me to answer. So this is a special Q&A from the audience, and I'm so excited to dive into these questions. Now, I may not be able to get to all of the questions that were submitted, but I'm going to do my dang best to get through as many as I possibly can. But first, I just want to invite you guys in. If you are someone that is wanting more information on my services, I just relaunched my brand new website, and I have so much information about my services, the different types of services I have, the things that you can purchase from me as well to help you better your health every single day. All of that is on www.undiet.you.com now. And it's easy to navigate. I'm so excited for you guys to go explore that website because you're going to learn about what I do in terms of coaching, what's entailed from elite one-on-one coaching to group coaching to getting lab work done, and then some done for you products as well that are literally for those people that are like, hey, I'm not quite ready to commit to hiring a coach, but I would like some help to understand where I need to start. And there are lots of resources on that, from meal plans to workout plans to my gut course to a done for you nutrition program. All of that is on undietyou.com website. My new email is lizzie@undietyou.com. If you need to email me about something, you have questions about something, please feel free to do so as well. All right, let's dive into today's show. I'm going to pull up my questions that I have for you guys that came from you guys, and we're going to dive in. Now, these are questions, some of these questions are Amish related questions because people always want to know about Amish stuff. And then we got some health related questions on here as well. So we're going to do a little bit of both because all of them are good, but I'm going to mix both of them a little bit. Okay. First question I see here is by the Kelsey Press. And she asked, is your family upset you left the Amish lifestyle? It's been 20 years since I left, and it took my dad was not alive anymore. He died when I was 13. And so he wasn't there when I left. Was my family really upset in the beginning? Yes, absolutely. Very upset, very hurt, and I'm shunned because I was a member of the church. But what I will tell you is I'm going to talk specifically about my mom. So my mom is an amazing human being, amazing person. And I always say, like, I feel like it took her about 2 to 3 years to come around to the idea that she doesn't have to try to persuade me to come back home. In that time frame, it felt like every time I would come to home to see her, she would always try to persuade me and tell me like what I was doing was wrong and I needed to come home to save myself, basically. Like that's their thought process. In order to save myself, I needed to come back home. So fast forward 20 years later, my mom is no longer upset with me. And it didn't take her 20 years to get there, but she's not upset with me. I also don't believe that she thinks I'm wrong. Do I think that I have family within the community, like lots of my siblings that are married, and I have not seen them in over 11 years? Some of them was the last time that I saw them. And I know many of them, they don't agree with the lifestyle that I chose. But my mom's a different story. So I can go home and visit my mom. And the last time that I visited my mom, I was blown away. I went home a couple weeks ago and I did a documentary. I was shooting a documentary on the Amish lifestyle and how it was growing up where I was at. And my mom, you're actually going to hear her in the background. We can't video her, we can't take pictures of her, but her and I were having conversations, and you're going to hear that in the documentary, and you're actually going to really feel what kind of superstar she is, because that's who she is today. And one of the things that happened on that visit is she's supposed to shun me because I was a member of the church. And in some ways, she still does shun me. She doesn't want to take money from me. She will gladly accept flowers from me. I always bring her flowers. She gladly accepts those, makes her smile. But if I said, hey, I want to buy something from you, she refuses to take money from me. And in the last time that I was there, I said, hey, we want to buy a small table runner quilt that she had made. It was beautiful and gorgeous and so amazing. And Drew, who was shooting the video with me, he wanted to buy that, and he wanted to buy something else from her. And I told her, I said, hey, we're going to buy this. And she proceeded to tell me that that we don't have to pay for it. And I was like, Mom, we're not going to pay for it. Like, we will pay you for it. And she's like, well, I shouldn't, like, I can't. Basically, in a roundabout way, she was telling me I can't take money from you. And I said, oh, Drew's going to pay for it. And as soon as I said Drew was going to pay for it, she was fine. She's like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I have younger siblings that are not shunned by the church because they were not members of the church within the community. They can literally go home, visit my mom, buy eggs and canned goods and all kinds of stuff from her, give her money. She doesn't blink. Totally fine. But me, because I was a member of the church when I left, and now I'm shunned by the church, she won't do it. She won't let me buy things from her. The conversation ended like this. She's like, well, these are just the rules that I have to follow, and that's just the way it is, and I have to follow it. And I would rather we would both respect that and stay friends, because I don't want to lose the friendship. So basically, she told me, she's like, I'm not willing to jeopardize my friendship with you as long as we can both agree that we're going to follow that. And I was like, I got you. I got no hard feelings towards it. If that's how you want it to be, I respect it, and we'll move on. And I'm not going to force you to take money from me if you don't want to take money. But I also will not go there and just be like, hey, I want, all these things, and just take them from her. I would never do that. And so I don't want to do that. So basically, the way that ended is, on the terms of that, we both agreed that we would respect and honor each other, and keep our friendship and our relationship as is. And it's a very, very beautiful thing when two people can come together and say, hey, these are our differences, but we're willing to respect our wishes and our differences in order to maintain friends. And I believe that in this world, many people could benefit from doing that and having that perspective. Because I see this all the time in this world now, is that so many people, it's like, if you don't agree with me and you're not on the same page as me, I cannot have a friendship with you. And I think that can be very, very detrimental and also toxic, because it's like, we're not leaving any room for anybody to be their own and have their own beliefs and respect that. We're not leaving room for that. And this is a perfect example of saying, hey, I may not agree, because I don't agree with the shunning, obviously, because I know the truth. But I also know that she has never lived outside of the Amish community and learned necessarily a different kind of truth. And so she believes wholeheartedly that she has to live with that. And I said, I respect you. I want to have a friendship with you. I'm not going to disregard that. I'm not going to disrespect it. We can still be friends and respect each other's wishes. So my mom is an amazing person. I already answered this question. Has your Amish family totally shunned you? That kind of like encompass that whole question in terms of shunning. The church obviously completely shuns me. And then some family members would completely shun me. And then my mom is kind of like, I shun you, but I don't shun you because I can come visit her. She'll make me food and coffee. So, do you miss Sue12357 said asked, do you miss your twin? This is a question that a lot of people ask all the time. And I always say that this is not to be rude or anything like that, but I would be lying if I said I missed her. And here's the reason why. It's been 20 years since I left. Our lives are so completely different. I haven't seen her in 11 years and I don't hang on to that. So, for me to, it feels like I should say, oh yeah, I miss her every day, but I don't. And I believe that the reason for that is when I decided to leave, I let go of a lot of the things that I had been taught. And I knew I had to let go of a lot of the relationships that I had, including my family, because it was so important to me that I followed where I knew that I needed to go. And so when there's something in your heart and in your soul and you feel it in your body that you are supposed to go here and move forward, whether or not the people that you love are supposed to go with you, what you have to do is come to a decision that you are willing to say, hey, there's nothing wrong with the people that I love. I love them. And the reason that I'm moving forward and leaving them basically behind, which is what I did, has nothing to do with them. And it has everything to do with me and what I know that I'm supposed to be doing. When you can get to that place of realizing like, hey, I don't need to tear someone else down. Perfect example is going through divorce. I went through divorce last year. And here's what I tell people. It is not my job to tear the other person down that I was married to in order to make myself feel better about my decision. That's not my job. Because that doesn't make me a better person. That doesn't make the situation a better situation. What it does make is that it is what it is, right? So I don't need to sit here and try to talk down on my family, talk down on the community that I came from, because I left the Amish community. That doesn't make the situation better, and it sure as heck doesn't make me feel better, right? So I love them and I respect them. Okay. The same thing with if you are in a relationship with someone, and whether you were married to them or not married to them, if you separated, that separation happened, right? But it's not your job to sit here and demean them and make them out to be this terrible person and all of these things just to make you feel better, even if they were not a good person. It still doesn't make your life better by sitting here and marinating on the fact of all the things that they did wrong. Okay? The first step of healing is taking responsibility for you, taking responsibility for your actions, what you did and did not do right and wrong. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Taking responsibility of those things. And when you start going internally in here and you start taking responsibility for yourself and your actions, you don't feel the need to tear someone else down to make your situation feel better or make it feel right. Because a lot of times when we feel the need to tear other people down, if we've separated from them and they're no longer in our lives, is When we feel the need to tear them down, is because we are not willing to take responsibility for our own actions. True healing happens, true healing starts to happen when we start taking responsibility in what did we do in the relationship? What did we do in the scenario? What did we do in all of the situations that we were in? Because guess what? It takes two to tango, not just one person. It's never just one person's fault. Okay. All right. We got to go to our first break here. But when we come back, we're going to continue to dive into these questions. And I'm very, very excited to continue to dive into these. So please, guys, don't go anywhere. I'm your host, Lizzie Ens, on the I'm Not Fine show. We'll be right back.
We often get used to just feeling fine instead of reaching to feel excellent or even good. Wellness is about feeling good, and that is a journey of continually coming back to what is nourishing and healing for us. Your body is functional and ever-changing, like a pendulum swinging. We must learn how to move with our bodies. Tuning into I'm Not Fine with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens will provide you with simple but effective tools that you can use right away, so you can go from feeling just fine to feeling amazing. Listen for I'm Not Fine on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is I'm Not Fine with Lizzie Ens. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also send an email to lizzie@undietyourself.live. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Okay, let's dive right into the next question. I love this one. So I just launched or pre-launched my book. I republished my book. It's rebranded, it's republished, and it's available for pre-order on Amazon. The book is called Amish Renegade. And this book I am so proud of, and I'm so excited to get it into you guys' hands. Now, the book is called Amish Renegade, the anthropology of a small town Amish girl turned global CEO. This question says, your book says global CEO. What company are you a CEO of? I love this question. So obviously I have my company, health coaching company on Diet U, and that's what I've been doing for the last 4 to 5 years. And last year I became the CEO and co-founder of a non-toxic beauty brand, Miss Commando. And this is a brand that I am so incredibly proud of to be the CEO of. Why? Because the beauty industry is overloaded with toxic, chemicalized products that are very, very bad for our health. And in the industry that I work in, I know because I see it all the time. And the average woman puts over 200 chemicals on her body every single day, between soaps and lotions and creams and perfumes and makeup and all the things. And so what I wanted to do, and those are endocrine disruptors. Toxic ingredients are endocrine disruptors. And I believe that's a huge reason why there's such a epidemic of hormone and thyroid and gut issues, even mental health stuff like anxiety and depression, because the stuff will affect your mood and your energy and your brain health and all of that stuff. And so Miss Commando is a non-toxic beauty brand where we focus on the simplicity of clean, healthy products. We have amazing goat soaps and goat lotions and balms, which is made from a shea butter. There's 5 ingredients in our balms. And in our lotions and soaps, we have 10 or less ingredients in them. You can read all the ingredients and understand what they are. And we're continuing to bring more products in. We have a face cream now that is so amazing. And we have a men's line too now, and we're selling what's called a warrior wax, but it's made with shea butter as well. It's scented for the men. And you can go to misscommando.com and see all of our products on there. So that is the company that I am the CEO and co-founder of. All right, let's see here. Best way to reduce inflammation in the body quickly and keep it reduced. So you're never going to be, for the most part, you will not like never have some kind of inflammatory things in the body. And here's what I mean by that. When you work out at the gym, you create inflammation because you're breaking down the muscle. And so if you're moving, and breaking down your muscle, it has to break down and create some inflammation, and then you rebuild it. But that's not a bad thing when it's like that. But inflammation in the body, the very, very first place that you need to start is your diet. What does your diet look like? What are you feeding? Because those are things that you ingest, and your body has to digest and try to digest and absorb these things. And if you're eating poorly, highly processed foods, fast foods, lots of sugars, processed, like all of those things, they will create inflammation in the body, which creates imbalances in the body. And then it's difficult for your body to digest foods the way that it needs to. So that's one place that you have to start. Number 2 is your water intake. You have to make sure you get enough water, because water flushes the system. Water is what helps keep your organs functioning better. You literally, like, if I do lab work and I see someone's red blood cell count elevated, the first indicator is dehydration with red blood cell count elevated. So if you're not drinking enough water and your RBC is elevated, that's showing you're dehydrated. You need more water. So you need water. And then you need sleep. You have to keep your sleep in check, because sleep is where when you're in your deepest sleep, that's when the hormones can come into your brain and your body and clean the debris out and detox. Sleep is your number 1 detoxer. And if you're not getting enough sleep and quality sleep, your body can't digest or detox, not digest, but detox the things that it needs to detox and therefore heal. So you have to have sleep. Those are the places that you need to start before you start bringing in a bunch of types of supplements. Now, there are some basic supplements that can help with inflammation, but it's not the only answer to it, which is why I will always give you the foundation of where you need to start, which is your food, your sleep, your water, and your exercise. Okay? Stress management is something that you want to do as well. But vitamin E is actually a really, really, really good anti-inflammatory supplement. I believe it's like incredibly underrated. A lot of people don't know. You can get something in a powder form, even called tocophenols. That's a form of vitamin E, and that can be really helpful. Curcumin is really good. You can cook with curcumin. Now, when you do take curcumin, like, you want to make sure it's paired with a black pepper, because black pepper actually activates the anti-inflammatory in the curcumin. So you don't want to do just like straight up curcumin. If I cook with curcumin or turmeric, same thing, I always make sure that there's black pepper with it so that it activates the anti-inflammatory agents. So those are places that you can start. How to reverse prediabetes, Dana asks. Diet. You have to reel in the diet. If you're in the pre-diabetic phase, you have to make sure that you are getting lots of protein, healthy fats, and fiber. Those are 3 things that are very, very important. And then you need to make sure that you have your blood sugars controlled. So if you are pre-diabetic, berberine, some people call it berberine, some people call it berberine. I never know which one is actually right. I call it berberine. That it can help with your blood sugar stabilization. Okay. So it is something that can help. But again, you don't want to take something like that and only rely on that. I have a blood sugar management type of meal plan that you can find on my website. And that is for people that may be in the pre-diabetic phase and you need to figure out how to get your blood sugars down dietary wise as well. It's not just a supplement, but you want to reel in the diet on what that needs to look like. And this specific meal plan is $10. And it's all written out with recipes, what your meals should look like. And they're built in a way for you to keep your blood sugar stable, but also to help you bring them down. So that's another place that you can start is if you're like, I don't even know what to eat. I don't know what it should look like. That is a place that you can start. You can find it on undietyou.com under products. You'll be able to find the meal plans in there. I have meal plans in there for blood sugar management, meal plans in there for the thyroid, anti-inflammatory meal plan, and like a balanced macro one. And then I have one that's for higher protein as well. So you can go there. Do you offer payment plans for private health sessions? The answer is yes. I have payment plan options. So if you're working with me one-on-one or you're working with me group, you can do payment plans with me. I also have financing options. So if you're like, hey, I can't do the payment plans that are just like the split payments through me, there's something called Affirm or a Klarna that I have that people can finance through. So those options are there. And I have plenty of people that use that because that just works better for them. So you have options. And that's why I give those options so that you can start working on your health now and you're not having to wait 5-6 months either to get finances in order to do it or waiting 5-6 months to get in with a doctor. If you can do that and we can start now, let's go. Let's do it. The options are there and available. What can I do to reduce my cortisol levels and lose weight? We actually need to go to our second break here. And I want to dive into this question when we come back, because this is a pretty in-depth answer here, and I want to dive into it. I do have an entire episode out. You just got to scroll back and find it, but it's all on cortisol. So cortisol is just something that can be tricky, and I have an entire episode, but I'm going to touch on it briefly here. We're going to go to our next break, but when we come back, I'm going to dive into this subject and give you some tips on what you can start doing. So don't go anywhere, you guys. We'll be right back.
We often get used to just feeling fine instead of reaching to feel excellent or even good. Wellness is about feeling good, and that is a journey of continually coming back to what is nourishing and healing for us. Your body is functional and ever-changing, like a pendulum swinging. We must learn how to move with our bodies. Tuning into I'm Not Fine with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens will provide you with simple but effective tools that you can use right away, so you can go from feeling just fine to feeling amazing.
Listen for I'm Not Fine on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is I'm Not Fine with Lizzie Ens. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Lizzie at undietyourself.live. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Okay, I want to tell everybody I changed my email. It's Lizzie@undietyourself.com. So if you hear the other one, obviously I'm still using that one at the moment, but it's going to transition all the way over to Lizzie@undietyourself. It's much easier, it's much better, it's smoother. And so that will be updated for you guys as well. So new email is Lizzie@undietyourself.com, and the new website is undietyourself.com. Super easy, and I'm so excited. The episode that I was referring to on cortisol was back in October. I did one exploring the impact of cortisol on your health, and it was episode number 25. So you're going to want to look for episode number 25 for the cortisol one to dive deeper into that subject. But real quick here, what can you do to reduce cortisol levels and lose weight? One of the things that I will tell you is that this is not just a straightforward answer, because the question you have to ask yourself is, why is the cortisol elevated as much as it is in the first place? There's always a reason why and a culprit that you have to get to, which is why testing is so important. So if you have not done in-depth testing, not just cortisol testing, listen, if you are going to a doctor and you're like, my cortisol levels are high, or my thyroid numbers are off, and if they're like, okay, let's recheck and see where things are at, and if they only check your cortisol, or they only check your thyroid, or maybe your TSH, and maybe T3, who knows? Some do, some don't. But if they're only doing those things and they're not checking other things that may be going on, like your cholesterol, your iron, your hormone levels, your inflammation markers, and all of those things, we got a problem, which is why the in-depth testing needs to happen. So if you have not done a well-rounded panel, that is something that I would highly suggest doing. And just so you guys know, I do that too, where if you don't want to, if you're not ready to commit to like the minimum of 12 weeks in my program, and you don't want to work with someone like that, and you just want a baseline of where things are at, I do something called lab work with treatment plan. And when there is lab work with treatment plan, basically what this looks like is I run very in-depth labs, and we look at what is really going on. And then I write up a treatment plan for you. And then you are on your own with that treatment plan. But then we have an 8-week follow-up call after that to see how things are going, and additionally what you need to be doing. And so that is one of the first things that I will always tell people, because it's not enough just to know that your cortisol levels are elevated. Now, let's say you did get in-depth labs done, and it's like, what do I do for my cortisol? Stress management is a big thing that you need to do. But one of the things in order to do so is, are you getting sunlight? So do you live in a place where in the morning when you get up, one of the first things you can do is get up? It's summertime here now. By the time you get up, is either light already or it's going to be getting light soon. When you get up in the morning, you should be getting light from the outside onto your face, especially the sun, if the sun is shining. But even if the sun is not shining, I live in a very sunny state. So the chances of the sun shining and getting that on my face first thing in the morning are very high. But if you live in a state where the sun's not always out, what you can do is still make sure that you get outside and you get light on your face. Okay. What this does is it helps to set your circadian rhythm. So your cortisol is supposed to be at its highest in the morning, create an L, and be at its lowest in the evening so that it can convert into melatonin and then help you go to sleep. But some people get an extra spike of cortisol in the evening. Some people also get an extra spike of cortisol during the night if you wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. every single morning and your brain is wired and tired and awake and you can't go back to sleep. Sometimes that's a cortisol issue. So I would need more data in terms of knowing exactly what else might be going on. With that being said, protein. Protein is very, very, very important to help your cortisol stay stabilized, because what happens is if you have insulin resistance or trouble like managing blood sugar and you're not getting enough protein, that can be part of the problem. And so here's what an explanation of what happens during the night. If you always wake up at like 2 or 3 a.m. and you're wide awake, you can't go back to sleep, the chances are that your blood sugar dropped too low because you didn't have enough protein in your body. And so when your blood sugar drops too low, cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. And so your cortisol kicked in order to help save your body and make sure that your blood sugar doesn't drop way, way, way low. Okay. And so when your cortisol spikes up, now you go into fight or flight. And that is the exact reason why your brain is wide awake at 3 a.m. And so making protein a priority is so incredibly important to make sure that your blood sugar stays stable, to have less of those spikes. Grounding, going out barefoot on the grass, getting your feet on the ground can be very, very beneficial. And one last thing I will tell you, I also have something called an adrenal guide, because your cortisol is connected to your adrenals as well. And in that adrenal guide, I give you some step-by-steps on what you can do to help your cortisol and your adrenals. So if you have not seen that one, you can find that in my links across all socials. And you just look for a free adrenal guide and you'll be able to find that as well. All right, we're going to start. I have one more question here on some health stuff, and then I'm going to get back to some of the Amish stuff here. So your program, how long does it typically take to see/feel results? By the way, I love your podcast. Well, thank you. Thank you for telling me that you love my podcast. That's awesome. How long does it take typically to see or feel results? Not very long. Most people will start seeing and feeling results within the first week. And that is even before we have looked at lab work. And here's why that is. It doesn't, and I literally tell every single person this, it does not matter where you are and what is going on with your health in terms of, do you have autoimmune? Do you have thyroid? Do you have hormone? Do you have gut issues? The foundation still has to be there. And what is that foundation? I will say it again and again and again and again. The foundation is your diet. What's your nutrition look like? What are you feeding your body? Your water, your sleep, and your exercise. And those are the things that we start working on right away. And just by working on those things, before we've even dove into the lab work stuff, people already start feeling better. It happens every single time. So it does not take very long at all. Okay. All right. Let's continue on and talk about some more Amish stuff. Okay. What's something you miss from your past aside from family? People ask me this all the time, and I'm like, I really don't miss things. Like, I don't miss growing up and then being in the Amish community. I don't miss the food. I don't miss any of it. I like some of the things that they do. I like some of the things that it taught me, but I don't actually miss it. It kind of goes back to the same thing with my twin. Like, I'd be lying if I said I missed it. But do I still appreciate it? Yes. I appreciate a lot of it, but I don't miss it. I think maybe I'm too busy enjoying my life now and building my life now that I don't really look back and go, oh, I miss that. I really don't. And that is part of living and enjoying the life that you have built now. Because what is the purpose of this life if we keep looking back and we go, oh, I miss that. I miss that. I miss that. Now, there's nothing wrong with missing things, but you don't want to do that so much that you forget to live in the now and build and create that life and future that you want to live, and not just live in the past. Because reminiscing is fun. I reminisce all the time, but I don't reminisce in terms of I miss it. I reminisce in terms of memories that I enjoy thinking about, and I love those moments, but it's done out of loving those things, not missing it, if that makes any sense. All right, let's see here. Ooh, this is a juicy one. Do Amish cheat in marriages or in relationships? I was never married when I was Amish, so I don't know. I do think that I feel like I have seen a couple other former Amish people talk about this on social, and they've talked about men specifically cheating on their wives with non-Amish women. I have heard a story like that. I don't know the people. So I really, don't have a lot of insight and input on that. In a relationship, personally not aware of it. Did it happen? It's possible, but I wouldn't know. Why did you leave the community? That is a pretty long answer. I'm gonna answer that when we come back from the break, because we got to go to our next break here. I do have this question too: is are Amish allowed to family plan, like use condoms and protection and stuff? And what I will tell you straight up, no. They are not allowed to do any kind of protection or anything like that, which is why my parents had 13 kids. Or I mean, not 13 kids, 19 kids. My parents had 19 kids. And a lot of Amish people from my community. So my grandparents had 18 kids. My parents had 19 kids. And then a sister of my mom's had 21 kids. Yep. So that can't really happen if you're using protection. So protection is like very, very, very much frowned upon. I don't know the reason why. I just know that it's not something that they approve of. And so basically they're like, hey, if God wants us to have kids, he's gonna make it happen. And until my body says no more, we keep having kids. That's pretty much it, which is why I left. I was like, I can't do this. I gotta leave. So we got to go to our next break here. But when we come back, I got a couple more questions that I want to cover here because these are actually really good ones as well. So I'll be right back after the break. You guys don't go anywhere.
We often get used to just feeling fine instead of reaching to feel excellent or even good. Wellness is about feeling good, and that is a journey of continually coming back to what is nourishing and healing for us. Your body is functional and ever-changing, like a pendulum swinging. We must learn how to move with our bodies. Tuning into I'm Not Fine with functional nutrition coach Lizzie Ens will provide you with simple but effective tools that you can use right away, so you can go from feeling just fine to feeling amazing. Listen for I'm Not Fine on Fridays at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, and 12 p.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is I'm Not Fine with Lizzie Ens. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Lizzie at undietyourself.live. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. We are almost finished here, but I got a couple more questions that I'm going to go through here and answer. And also, real quick, next week's show, I am having a very, very good friend of mine and guest, DJ, on my show. And one of the things about him is he talks on mental resilience for life's challenges. So mental, like training your brain and exercising your brain muscle, because your brain is still a muscle. Like we work out and we train the rest of our body for strength in our body, but how do we train our brain? How do we train our mental health for more resilience for hard challenges and difficulties in our life? And he has an amazing story and has an amazing business where he teaches these things. So I wanted to bring him on to talk about mental resilience and how do you build that for life's challenges. So come back next week for that show. And now I'm going to dive into what did I leave the community? I left the community for so many reasons, but I specifically left the community because I could not get in line and agree with a lot of the rules of the church. And I couldn't understand them. Like I questioned everything. And a lot of things that I did very specifically ask questions on and why those were the rules and why they did what they did, or made the rules and why they do what they do. The answer that I would get was, that's just the way it's always been. And in my head, I'm going, well, that's not good enough. I can't have an answer where it's just the way it's always been and we're not willing to change. My heart and my soul were not meant for that. I'm an entrepreneur at heart and a creator, and I find solutions for things. And so for me, the solution was not staying in the Amish community because I knew that I didn't belong there. One, I'm also a visionary, so I was never able to see myself stay there. I mentioned before the break about having lots of kids, and that was one of the reasons why I left, because I literally could not see myself getting married in the community and having lots of kids. Never could visualize it. And so even without the personal development, self-help, mentorship, all of those things to help me understand those things, I innately had that in me going, that doesn't make any sense. I can't see it, so I know I don't belong there. So for a long time, I knew that I didn't belong there. But when you are in an organized, strict religion like that, there's a lot of fear that comes with the idea of leaving. And so I just didn't know how I was going to leave. Never had a job outside of the Amish community. I didn't know how I was going to make a living. So really what it came down to is I could not agree and get on board with the rules that the church had created. I just couldn't, because none of it made sense to me. And that is why I had to leave. And also I go back to me respecting my mom and going, okay, like that's all she knows. I now know two ways, which is the life within the Amish community and then the life outside of that. And what that allows me to do is have two perspectives. And that doesn't mean that they're bad people. It means that I can respect them and understand their wishes, and also try to understand what, the shoes that they're in. So those are big reasons of why I left, but I don't hold any animosity. Now, what I will tell you is my book that just got republished and is now available for pre-order, and the copy will be available May 14th. It will be out with soft copy, hard copy, ebook. Audible's coming later on. You'll be able to read much more in depth on my story, what it was like living there, what that transition of preparing to leave, what it was like leaving, and then life after leaving. It's my memoir. That's my story. And you're going to find much, much more information on that there. One more question that I had that someone asked is, do I think that growing up Amish and learning the things that I learned made me a better mom? I don't know. I don't have anything to compare it to in terms of, hey, I didn't grow up in the non-Amish world. So I don't have, I can't compare, hey, I grew up non-Amish and I grew up Amish. Which one made me a better mom? I can't compare that, right? What I do know is I do find a lot of really good value in the things that I was taught as a child, right? Like just working on the farm, learning how to do small things as a kid and involving your child in your work, which is what I do with my kiddo. Always have, always will. Hey, we want to cook? You want to help me cook? Hey, we're going to clean up. Let you help me clean up. The kids want to be part of that. And so just bringing them into your world and not assuming that they can't. I started working when I was 5 years old, probably even before then, but my first memory is working, having chores to do as a 5-year-old. That was before I started school. Carrying in wood for the wood burning stoves, washing dishes. And there's a lot of things that I don't necessarily agree with in the way that I was raised in terms of not having a voice. Like we weren't allowed to have a voice, but that's a story for a completely different day. I don't have time to go into that, but there are other values that I respect so much. And I think that we can teach that to a lot of kids, and kids love it. So that is the Q&A for today. I hope you guys found a lot of value in this conversation today and the information that I shared with you guys. We got a little bit of Amish stuff in there. We got a little bit of health stuff in there. And just know that whatever situation you're in now, whatever you are going through, just to know that it's not the end of the world. You are capable. I recently started reading this book called Who Moved My Cheese? And I read the entire thing. It's in 2 days. And it's such an easy read. A friend of mine gifted it to me. And basically the premise of this book is, what do you do when hard things happen? Do you fight it? Do you want to stay where you're at? Do you want to hang on to all of those things? Or do you want to, move with the cheese and move with the times and change as you need to change? Can't recommend it enough. Who Moved My Cheese? All right, you guys, that is it for today. I will be back next week with my amazing guest, DJ LaCoury. We're going to talk about mental fitness. We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to the I'm Not Fine show. Lizzie Ens returns Fridays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 12 p.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and 10 a.m. Pacific Time on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, Have the best week of your life by making choices that take you from feeling fine to feeling amazing.